I drove 2 hours and not one person clapped. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. I know y'all DA gonna be looking for me in Lake Charles. Thank you so much. Even though Zeta, I know your name. I was gonna make a joke about you since you joked about me being a Southern University Law School graduate. But Kerry, thank you. He's not paying attention. But Kerry, thank you for the invitation today and for a lot of the work that I know you are doing here in Lake Charles. He and I, that going here in Lake Charles is extremely important. And I'm also here in support of a good friend who's running for the state senate. I hope you all have had the opportunity to meet this young man. He and I had the opportunity to share some thoughts about our young daughters a few months ago. So I know that he has the passion, the vision, and the leadership necessary to lead your community in Baton Rouge. By way of just introduction, I am born and raised in Baton Rouge. I'm a lawyer by trade. I work for a law firm, Duran and Cawthorn. Our main office is in Opelousas. We have offices in Houston, Lafayette, and Baton Rouge. I also work at the Southern University Law Center as an adjunct professor, and I've been a state representative elected in 2011 and have been serving since 2012. I currently serve as the chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee as well as the chairman of the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus. One of the things that Kerry asked me to talk to you all about is just kind of an update on some of the work that we are doing and how we, and when I say we, all of the young professionals and the young at heart, I see some young at heart professionals in here as well, and it is extremely important that we recognize just some of the issues that are impacting us on the state level. As far as our generation, I know that we are extremely motivated around moments, right? Things happen, be it a George Floyd assassination, be it our Sorrell running for president and appointed as the vice president, and then a lot of times in our generation we kind of get soft, right? Our interest level dissipates, and there are so many different decisions that take place without us at the table. I recognize that, and I also recognize that a lot of it is due to the fault of folks like myself, elected leaders. We do a very good job every 4 years. We show up at your church, we knock on your door, we put flyers on your cars, we get elected, and then 4 years go by and then you see us again, right? Now, for me, I will tell you that I recognize that about 25% of that is our fault. The other 75% is the people that continue to elect us. Right? If you have elected and continue to elect someone who you haven't seen for 4 years, that's more of an indictment on the community and less an indictment on the elected person. And I say that because I know how extremely hard I work, and I also know how many issues that I face, not just in the legislative session, but daily, that impact our people and that impact young people. So if I haven't seen you in 4 years, that means you haven't reached out to me to ask me, why did you vote a certain way? How are you going to vote? I have this issue that I need your attention, right? This young person needs a job, right? This young person was wrongfully arrested. I need you to make a call. I need you to do something. So if it's been 4 years and you haven't reached out, I will assume that everything is going well with you. But because I read the newspaper, I know that everything is not going well with you. Because everything is not going well with some of the people that I represent. So if some of the things are not going well with some of us, they're not going well with any of us. And one of the things that I really try to stress, especially as chair of the Black Caucus, is that notion that if one of us is not doing well, none of us are doing well. I will concede that way too often, even for those of us in the caucus, we have operated in a small bubble. And we've been able to kind of operate without a lot of people shining light on us. When I took over as chairman in February, I tried to make sure that we did a lot more to reach out. So we have a new website, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and for the first time since I've been in the legislature, we really put out a very aggressive legislative agenda. Way too often we have been known to fight all the bad stuff, and you'll see us fighting issues like the issue of today is critical race theory, right? We've fought bad tax policy, but this year we were very intentional about how do we advance an agenda that we know will gain traction. We weren't necessarily worried about winning. We were worried about gaining traction and trying to address certain issues. So not to talk about the 37 bills that we were able to pass, but one of the things that you'll see going on all across the country is the effort to restrict voting rights. Restrict voting rights for people of color, restrict voting rights for college students, restrict voting rights for young people. And it's under this whole umbrella that the last election was stolen or that there was election fraud. What the truth of the matter is, and what they're really saying is, during the presidential election, too many black people voted. So something had to go wrong, right? Too many young people voted, so something had to go wrong. Too many people listened to the dummy that kept telling them not to believe in mail-in voting, right? So he said don't believe in it, his people didn't believe in it, right? Our people did, because our people were smart enough not to put themselves in harm's way because COVID was infecting our community, right? So what we've been able to do, there's no state in the entire country that has passed legislation that expanded voting rights but the state of Louisiana. We passed 2 bills. One was authored by Fred Jones, who was a Southern University law school graduate, right, that expanded the number of early voting days that we have in presidential elections. Another bill expanded the length of time we have in the ballot box. Now, that was my bill, and a lot of people said that's not really important. But what was happening in certain communities, they were actually pulling people out of the polls because Louisiana law said before we passed this bill that you only had 3 minutes. So in an election like 2020 in Baton Rouge, we had mayor's race, city council, president, Congress, United States Senate, and multiple constitutional amendments, right? You and I, most of us in this room, we probably go into the ballot knowing how we're going to vote, because we've researched, we've read, and we go in with our little checklist. Most people in our communities don't. So in too many jurisdictions across Louisiana, people that look like everybody in this room were pulled out the polls because at 3 minutes they were pulling people out, right? So this is the only state in the country that expanded voting rights while all the other states were restricting voting rights. You know, I know that there are so many issues regarding criminal justice reform. I don't have to regurgitate all of those different issues regarding policing and all these different things. Last year, one of the things that we've done extremely well in Louisiana, we study a lot of issues. What we usually do after we study those issues, we just leave the study somewhere on somebody's desk and never pass legislation to address those issues. We didn't do that with policing. After George Floyd was assassinated, we formed a task force strictly looking at policing in the state of Louisiana. We passed 18 recommendations. Of those 18 recommendations, 16 of those things are in law today. However, I will be the first one to tell you that nothing that we pass can stop unilaterally all of the things that are happening in our community, right? We know that, right? The laws that I passed, the laws that the caucus has passed, doesn't change what's in somebody's heart. It doesn't make somebody, because we know that training is not the issue. I will tell you, in Baton Rouge, we've had 2 incidents where not only a state trooper was murdered, the person that murdered the state trooper is alive today. Without you knowing that, you know that that person is not black, right? Because had he been a black man, he would be what? He'd be dead. So it tells me that training is not the issue. You know how to subdue a person who is armed and dangerous. That training just goes out of the window when the person you are apprehending is black, right? We had another young man that went on a rampage. He killed his grandmother, shot another relative, went across town in Baton Rouge, stole a car. He shot at a sheriff, and he was only shot twice. Before I saw his name, I knew that he was not African American for 2 things. Number 1, we ain't shooting our grandma. That's not something that we gonna do, right? And number 2, the fact that he was only shot 2 times. I was like, he was not a black dude. Because a black dude, they would have emptied the clip on him. So I say that not to upset you, but I say that to say that my role is one of trying to make sure laws are in place, but there are a lot of times where the laws that we pass mean absolutely nothing. if the people that are supposed to make sure that when they encounter us with dignity, if they have a preconceived notion about us, they are not worried about the laws. But I'm encouraged because we have young people that recognize and understand the importance that there are certain things that the laws are just not going to teach us, who have decided to run for district attorney, who've decided to run for judge, and you guys have elected one of them, who I'm seeing here, Mr. Derek Key. He and I have a very long history, right? If Carrie or Zita would have talked to you about my bio, would have told you that I was the president of the Student Bar Association. That's in my bio. What's not in my bio is that I ran the year before and I lost to somebody that went to Grambling, right? Right? Out of all the people to lose to, I would rather lose by 1 million points to somebody from any other school. But your judge, Mr. Key, with my buddy in law school, and he and I have been friends for a very long time, and it's exciting and encouraging for me to see that you all have elected young people to have so much power. And I don't know if we fully recognize the influence that we as young professionals have, because we are so concerned with how many of us are parents. If we are parents, we're concerned with our children. If we are business owners and entrepreneurs, like the young lady we heard from, we are concerned with our business. And a lot of times, while we are so concerned with those things, we don't have time to show up at the legislature. We don't have time to show up at the state capitol. We don't have time to show up at school board meetings and city council meetings. But I will tell you that the people focus on restricting your ability to expand your business, to go from a small business to a large business. They're showing up at the Capitol, right? The people that want to make sure that they dictate the type of instruction that your young people are getting all across the state of Louisiana, that want to talk about social studies and want to rewrite history because they are so embarrassed by their history that they don't want their people to learn it. Those people are showing up. So I will encourage you to make time to not just vote, because that's the easy part, right? I went to a meeting earlier, we were talking with the Granger campaign, with all of the money that they're spending just to remind people to go and vote, right? And we do a very good job about that. But when you elect Dustin and you've elected Judge Key and you've elected me, show up and hold us accountable. That's the hard part. And that's the part that our generation, usually we fall back on that. And then 4 years pass and we've had someone that has ignored us for 4 years and we're wondering why. So what I would ask of you to do here in Lake Charles is, number one, of course, get out and vote, but to me, that's the easy part. The hard part is, number one, how are we going to support the people that we elevate? And then how are we going to hold them accountable? Now, in our community, we have this issue when folks call us out in public. Like, we don't do that, right? Maybe y'all do that in Lake Charles. We don't do that in Baton Rouge, right? But those are the type of things that I have benefited from the most in 10 years. Folks that have called me to say, good job, congratulations, that was the right thing to do, that doesn't motivate me, right? The folks that have called me to the mat to say, that's not what we elected you for. Why did you do this? We expect this of you. And usually they are people of my peers. And that is the type of motivation, those are the type of things that I've invited in my office, and as well as the office of the Legislative Black Caucus, because I know way too often we hadn't been there, right? And I'm the first person as the chairman to say that we've been way too silent on issues that are important. And a lot of it is because we haven't been pushed. And the second reason, we have done certain things, but we haven't done a good job of saying, hey, we need you. I will tell you right now, my name may appear on certain things. The folks that you elected, their names appear on certain things. We didn't get there alone, and we can't do the job alone. So whomever it is that you support, be it Dustin, be it Derek, be it whomever, be it Kerry when he decides to run for something, right? Because I know it's in his heart. I could smell it on him, right? All the way from Baton Rouge. And the type of people that you elect are the people that have shown you that they give a damn about your community, not just before they put their name on the ballot. You young people, all of you college folks, I know that your number one job right now is to graduate, right? You are having the time of your life, right? I will tell you that I deal with so many issues that impact you, and your voices are never heard at the Capitol. Never. Right? We have a college day that some of y'all come up, y'all look nice, y'all cheer, your cheerleaders are there, and then we don't hear from you, right? I deal with too many important issues that impact you not to hear from you, right? So I will encourage you to organize and try to make sure that your voices are heard at the state capitol, because the resources that are going to McNeese, the dollars that are going, how many of you have a top scholarship, right? You know who decides the amount of money that goes to McNeese for tops? I do, right? Like, I can decide to send all of that to Southern or Grambling. They don't need no money over there, right? They private, they don't need no money, right? But in all seriousness, the issues are too important for me to deal with them on my own, right? And one of the things that I tell people, especially those of us that are elected, I have one child, so I'm only really responsible for one person, and that's Harper. She's 4, she good, right? My child, no matter what school she goes to, we have resources between myself, her mother, her parents, my parents. Harper's gonna be all right. But I reneged on my promise when I decided to run for office to only worry about Harper, and I can't do that, right? Y'all don't have that to worry about unless you really care about your community. I know that you do, because you are here listening to somebody you don't even know on a Thursday night. So I know that you care about your community, and I hope that that concern for your community elevates you to do several things. Number one, vote for Dustin, right? That brother got on a black turtleneck, a brown. Yeah, man. Like, hey, I don't care what he say. He look good, don't he? Right? So vote for him, right? Hold Derek Key's feet to the fire and continue to move and push so that this community excels, because when you excel, we all excel. Carrie, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today, and I look forward to visiting with you all at another time. Thank you, Carrie.
The Ted James, y'all. This guy has been special from day one. Thank you so much for coming out. I learned so much from a Southern University Law Center graduate today. We learned today we need to vote, we need to support and hold their feet to the fire once we elect them. Okay, next we have our own local celebrity, Jarvis Jacob, of Jarvis Jacob and the Gents, guys. Where's Jarvis? There he is.
Hey, all right. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, yeah, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again, yeah. I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay while I'm watching the tide roll away, and I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay while I'm wasting time. Well, I left my home in Georgia, I was headed for the Frisco Bay, and I had nothing to live for, and it looks like nothing's gonna come my way. So now I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay while I'm watching the tide roll away. I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay while I'm wasting time. Well, it looks like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same, and I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Just sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Say 10,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. So now I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay while I'm watching the tide roll away. I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay while I'm wasting time. Let's hit that next one, though. Mother, there's far too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, there is no need to escalate. You see that war is not the answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, pick your lines and pick your signs. Don't punish me with brutality. I say talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on? Ay, 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 ay. I say, mother, mother, they all think we're wrong. But tell me, who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long. Oh, you know that we've got to find a way. We've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. So talk to me so that you can see what's going on. Oh, what's going on? Tell me what's going on. I wanna know what's going on. Thank y'all so much for the time. I want to bring up our next guest, Miss Nicole Moncrief. Please, y'all put y'all hands together, show us some love. Miss Nicole Moncrief, y'all show us some love. Come on.
Thank you, Jarvis. I don't know how you start off when you come after Representative James and then Jarvis comes up and sings. What do you do? Like, I can sing, and I'm not elected. Hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Moncrief, just a citizen, community person in Lake Charles, and I'm excited to be here. Kerry asked me, he said, Nicole, he said, we are talking to folks about voting, right? And he said no one can sit in your seat. So for those of you who don't know, in 2017, I ran for office here in Lake Charles for city council, and I lost by 1 vote. And people often say, 1 vote? Yes, I lost by 1 vote. And yes, there was a recount, so let me make sure we clarify that. And so when we start talking about voting, and we're talking about Dustin tonight, right? And he's running for office, and how we as citizens, what our responsibilities are, we need to take a look at an opportunity to make sure we are bringing someone along with us. Right? A lot of young folks out here keep talking about young folks. I'm no longer young. But it's about us bringing folks along. And how do we mentor individuals to make sure they understand what we're talking about. Let's just talk about city council itself. City council affects everything, your garbage pickup, your street, the drainage. There's been some flooding in the city, and I think the city is trying to do some great new things with the infrastructure, but those things that we're voting on deal with you every day, right? So when you think about the president's race, it seems so grandiose and so huge, but then let's take it down to the local level, right? And I'm talking about the local level here in Lake Charles. We have politicians, and we heard Representative James talking about supporting our politicians. And so I'm gonna talk to Lake Charles tonight and say, we need to support our politicians. We need to support them. When we put them in office, we need to support them. And they're not going to may not make the right decision for you every time, right? Many of you may be parents. Those out there on Facebook, we're parents. How many of us can say we do it right every time, even as parents? I'm not trying to say you all are children. I'm saying as a parent, you have to make decisions, and there's no rule book for parents, right? And so we just have to consider that we, as citizens in our city, we have to take an opportunity to bring someone along. We need to look at how we mentor our young folks. Tonight, I brought my nephew here with me. I did it purposefully because the last event I went to for women, we talked about how we can bring folks along. We have young folks in the room, but who are you bringing along with you, right? And so as we start talking about voting and the right to vote, yes, our parents, they did a whole lot of things, and grandparents did a lot of things to get us the opportunity to vote. Once we vote, he said it's important, but how are we getting others to get out there? And then once we get them to vote, what about the issues? There's amendments on the ballot this time. Early voting is also open. I want to remind everyone, we're still in early voting. I vote early every time. I'm going to say and speak and give kind of a moment for my friend. Many of you knew him, Wilbert Lewis. He and I had that debate. We went back and forth on, do you vote early? And he said, I'm not voting early. Well, many of you on November 1st on Monday it was his anniversary of his death. He passed away before he could vote, and he worked with me on the elections last year. And so for me, I had many people, even in the Obama election time, people were able to vote, right? And the early vote helps us. Getting out early is a great thing for us to do, so I want to encourage us to go out. Again, early voting is through Saturday, 6 p.m. For those of you in Lake Charles, it's at the courthouse. Please get out and early vote. Dustin needs every vote. He has sent me, and he knows me well, he sent me the request to go out and vote early, and I'll be there tomorrow. I'll make sure I keep myself honest. I'll take my picture and put it on Facebook, right? But voting is important. And so when he asked me, he said, Nicole, he said, Carrie asked me, by the way, thanks Carrie, and thanks to Miss Michelle Williams for having it this beautiful place. When they asked me, they said, come up and talk about voting. I said, I'm not a representative, I'm not a judge, I'm not an elected official. I'm just a regular citizen. And many of you can get up here and do the same thing. Encourage others to get out to vote. Encourage others to do the things we need to do to make sure at the local and the state and the federal level, we are getting the things done that we need to get done. Now, this election with Dustin is very important. It can turn around some great things, and we need to consider and make sure not only do we know about who to vote for, we know the information about the amendments. These amendments they're not easy, and if you don't know, ask someone, right? And so it's just important that we do that. Representative James is here tonight. You can ask him what he thinks about the different amendments. Judge Key is here. He may have someone he can refer you to be able to ask you, but we need to stay informed and we need to make sure we vote. So I just want to thank everyone and then talk about, again, mentoring. I see my first boss in the room, my first director, she's in the room, and want to send a shout out to her and just many of the community activists that are here in the community that are sitting out here. Those of you on Facebook, they can't see you, but it's important, again, to come out to these type of events, like they said, on a Thursday night, coming out to talk about the importance to vote. So I want to thank everybody. I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Zita on her Thursday night, school night, and make sure we keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Moncrief. Okay, everybody. The hostess with the mostest wants us to make sure, pick up your phones, tag that you're here, share, 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 because that's the only way that we will be educating our community members about what's going on in the city of Lake Charles. Okay, so next we have our local celebrity, Jarvis Jacob again. 1 second.
We just sing songs. We're not celebrities yet. We just not celebrities. Songs. I appreciate Carrie for having me tonight. It's such a wonderful event. Let's give Carrie a big round of applause for putting this event together. Hey. Hey. Hey, clap your hands, clap your tap your foot, tap your yeah. No. Yeah. Girl, I know this might seem strange, so let me know if I'm out of order for stepping to you this way. See, I've been watching you for a while, and I just thought I'd let you know I'm really feeling for you. Need to give me your name, and I'll write down my number, and I hope that you would call me someday. And if you just give me your phone, oh, but if not, baby, I'm not mad at you. We still, I'm not trying to pressure you, cause you didn't wanna give me your name. I thought that you was digging me and wasn't digging me. But anyway, what you doing tonight? I'll probably be with my peeps. Look, and if it's cool with you, maybe we'll swing by and you can just chill with us, or you can just chill with me, long as you're comfortable and you feel secure when you're with me. Cause I'm not trying to pressure you, just can't stop thinking about you. You ain't even really gotta be my girlfriend. I just wanna know your name, and maybe sometimes we can hang out and just chill. Oh, Social life, let's go to the next one. See, baby, I'm not trying to pressure, just can't stop thinking about you. Oh, that's your jam, huh? If you know this song, I want you to sing along with me. Right there from your seat. Right there from your seat, real quietly. Used to spend my nights out in ballrooms, and liquor was the only love I know. Oh, but you rescued me from reaching for the bottle and brought me back from being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. Yeah. You're as warm as a glass of brandy, and only I stay stoned on your love all the time. I've looked for love in all the same old places, and I found the bottom of the bottle's always dry. Yeah. But when you put out your heart, I wouldn't waste it. No, no, 'cause there's nothing like your love that gets me high. Yeah, you're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. Yeah, yeah. You're as warm as a glass brandy. And honey, I stay stoned on your love all the time. What I'm gonna do right now is bring up our hostess with the mostest. Y'all show some more love to Miss Zeta. Y'all show Miss Zeta some more love. Show her some love. Show love. Come on. Now, all together now. All together.
Last time you took my job, so. Okay, thank you to our local celebrity. You're going to have to just own that, because that's in your future. I feel it. Jarvis Jacob. Okay, next we have Judge Derek Key, another Southern University Law Center graduate, doing great things in the city of Lake Charles. Y'all give a round of applause to Judge Derek Key.
No, guys, let's give it up for partner Cedar Andrus over at the Baggett McCall Law Firm. Now, Baggett McCall, and Andrus. It's a pleasure to be amongst all of you all, my friends, my colleagues, my future. And I'm excited because these young people, I've been talking to them about taking over the ranks. I see young people I went to church with, used to be on my block, and I know that they're preparing themselves to fill the gap in our communities. So we have to give time, and we have to give space, and we have to give energy to the young people, because the young people are our future. And actually, the young people are our now. You know, I think the goal has to be to change things. You have to change who's making the decisions and how the decisions are being made. And one election I ran, I got beat terribly. It wasn't to Ted James, I beat him. I trained him up real nice. You see, he's come out pretty good. But Ted's a friend of mine. We always laugh about that. Ted's a friend of mine. And what we want to do, though, is to put our children in a position, our young people in a position to fill the gaps, to build bridges generationally as it relates to voting. When I ran my first election, the voter turnout was 19.2%. In other words, 81% of the people who did not come out decided the election. Now, I believe my friend Sharon Wilson would have beat my brakes off either way. However, just imagine that 25% of new young people would have come out. They would have been in the driver's seat. Even if they elected someone other than me, they would have been in the position of influence. Voting is influence. And I don't know, I don't need to tell most of the people in this room, but I may need to tell someone who's online, voting is influence. It's not always about the people you know. It's not always about superfluous things. It's more about how you can get your interest addressed through the people who are making the decisions. And you are the decision makers for our future. I like to dwindle voting down to a 3-part series. Really, voting for me is about 3 things: voter registration, voter education, voter participation. They're very, 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 very important parts of who we are. And I always hear people talking about voter registration. The problem is not always registration. Registration is a problem. But education is the most important of them all. The Bible says that, and I'm not a preacher, but I come from a preacher family. The Bible says that wisdom is the principal thing. Get it. But in your getting, get an understanding. Those who have an understanding are in the best position to lead. they're in the best position to select, they're in the best position to elect, and they're in the best position to serve. So the voter registration piece is important, but what if you were registered and you had no clue what was on the ballot? What if you were registered and you were voting for the wrong person for the wrong reasons because somebody next to you gave you bad information? So education is important. It's the principal thing. It is the way to wisdom, it is the way to knowledge, and we have to educate ourselves as voters. We have to know what the issues are. We have to commit ourselves to voting on every occasion we have to vote, even if it's just amendments. Now, I have some disclaimers to do. I'm not here as a part of anybody's campaign. As a judge, I'm prohibited from directly supporting or endorsing any candidate. I'm not here to tell anybody what to vote for. I'm here to tell everybody to go and vote your interests. Think about what you need in your community. Think about who's in your community. Think about who you can influence, because it's more than just a black thing. I grew up pro-black and I grew up in the hood and all of that, but it's not just a black thing, it's about an interest thing, because some districts are not minority, majority black districts. They're people who you have to go after who have your interest, and none of them may look like you, but if you control the vote, you control the candidate. All of a sudden, the candidates will start to talk about and emulate the issues that you have. In fact, when I first ran, I did not run to win. I ran because I wanted to win, but I ran to increase the issue base in the election. I wanted to talk about things that weren't being talked about. I wanted to talk about a free-to-work program for people who are not having the opportunity to get out of jail, who are nonviolent, who would be better served if they were working. People who work don't commit crimes generally. People who are taxpayers are not a tax burden as you are when you are a ward of the state. And so I talked about issues, I talked about things that are important. Those were my issues, but the question is, what is your issue? What's important to the next generation? Perhaps we don't understand. What's important to the last generation? And where is the bridge between the wisdom of our past and the innovation and energy of our future? That's what I'm here to talk about. Voter registration, voter education, then you got to get off your butt and go participate. If you talk the talk, if you know the walk, but you don't walk the walk, if you don't go to the polls and actually pull the lever and understand what are you pulling the lever for and what are you pushing the buttons for, you are wasting your time. So we can have conversations and cocktails all day long. In fact, there's going to be conversations everywhere across the country for the rest of the night. There's going to be cocktails forever. But the question is, would you have the ability to draw off of the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, and the communication, and the communal opportunity that we have when we get together? Because the one thing that people don't like is when we're together. When we're together on our issues, when we're together in our support system, when we're together in our interests. Whatever you do, don't forget the importance of voter education, voter registration, and voter participation. God bless you, and I wish you all well.
And let the church say amen. Every time Judge speaks, I feel like taking out my Bible, but he is a great speaker, and he was absolutely correct. You all, please post and share on the Carrie Chavis Experience. And next, we have our local celebrity, Jarvis Jacob.
Yeah. Hey. Here we go. City simple, I love it, having you near me, having you near. Our conversations outrageous. You smile, so I smile and I say, hey, let's get personal, 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 and stay for a while and play such a beautiful moment. Oh, girl, I'm
Giving you the best of me.
yeah,
Amazing,
it's amazing.
amazing.
Oh, girl,
Close to me.
having you close to me,
Amazing,
it's amazing.
outrageous. Give your best to me.
Good morning, Miss Breakfast. Lost track of time now. We had a ball. Let's catch a movie. Then, oh, you're mine. So I smile and I say, hey, let's get personal, 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 and stay for a while and play such a beautiful moment. Oh, girl, I'm giving you the best of me. I know it's amazing, yeah, amazing, giving you the best of me. I love having you close to me, girl. It's amazing, it's outrageous,
Outrageous.
outrageous. Girl, I'm giving you the best of me, yeah, amazing. Yeah, I know it's amazing, outrageous. Oh, giving you close to me, girl, amazing, yeah,
Outrageous.
yeah. I'm stuck on you like glue, and everything you do, you make me feel, you make me feel. I feel brand new, and every day when I wake up, there's something about you on my mind. Oh, girl, it's something about you. But when it comes to being real, I know you're the one I got feelings for. So anytime that I'm feeling low, girl, I know you got my back. That's why I'm stuck on you, baby. I'm stuck on you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause of the way that you love me. I said the way you make me feel. I know I love it. I know it's real, I know it's real. And I won't deny, I recognize that you're all I want and desire. You're all that I love and need. Baby, I'm so blessed that my dream became a reality. Cause girl, it's all for you. I never knew love could be so true, so true. And I ain't never been stuck like this. And I ain't I don't want to exist. So tell me that you'll never leave me. Then baby, promise me forever, please. Just tell me that you'll be mine forever all the time. Cause I'm so stuck on you. I'm so stuck on you, baby. Cause of the way that you love me, yeah. The way you make me feel. I said the way you make me feel. I said the way you make me feel. Girl, I know our love is real. I know it's real. Cause you know that I'm really stuck. And you're the one that I adore. You love me, let me keep you warm. Yeah. Bring our hostess up with the mostest, our local celebrity, Miss Zeta. Y'all show us some love. Come on, Miss Zeta. Come on, Miss Zeta. Y'all show us some more love. Show us some more love. Come on now. There it is. There it is.
Thank you, thank you. And finally, we have Dustin Granger, the man you guys have been hearing about all night, who is running for election right now. So let's bring up Dustin Granger. Steve Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. Thank you, Zeta. Wow. So I get to follow Ted James, Nicole Moncrief, Zeta, and Judge Key. Man, the inimitable Judge Key. Thank y'all for being here. A great audience. I mean, I feel like we got the all-stars in here, if you ask me. But I'm here to talk to y'all about an important election. In case you haven't heard, there is one going on right now. So there's some amendments on the ballot, and there's one election with people, and that's state senate. So early voting lasts until Saturday at 6 p.m. So we got to get people out to vote. This election is very, very important for many reasons. For those of you who don't know, Senator Ronnie Johns has vacated his Senate seat, so this is a special election to finish out his remaining 2 years. Okay, so that's why we're in the special election. And it's important for many reasons, most importantly because we're still recovering from the 5 federally declared natural disasters. Obviously still in recovery mode. There's still too many blue roofs, abandoned homes and businesses to say that it's been over a year is crazy. It's important for another reason too. I am the only Democrat on the ballot, and this election has statewide implications. That's why you're seeing a lot of stuff and commercials and everything, because this seat is very important for the Democratic Party. Because redistricting is about to happen. Every 10 years after the census, they redraw all the boundaries. And it's already gerrymandered against the Democratic Party, and African American especially is gerrymandered, okay? And with the Republican Party has almost a veto-proof supermajority, meaning they're able to overturn John Bel Edwards' vetoes for his remaining 2 years in office, essentially making him ineffective for the remaining 2 years. And with redistricting coming up, we need to have his veto to veto it if it's more unfair than it already is, and we know it'll get worse. So we need to make sure Democrats have a seat at the table. And that's also important because voting rights are constantly under attack. We could be like Texas. Ted James knows we're hanging by a thread on many different things. Medicaid expansion could be reversed. These are the things and the reason why I'm running. Now, this district deserves someone that will fight for them. We need somebody that understands that in order to have economic growth and development, that all areas need to grow together, not just south of town. And we need somebody that understands that although natural disasters don't discriminate, that recovery always does. These are the real issues and the issues that I'm not afraid to tackle when I get to Baton Rouge. My platform is simple: people over profit. That's the underlying value of everything I stand for. In putting people first, we not only need to protect voting rights, fair districts, and health care, but we need insurance reform. We can't afford to have another politician beholden to insurance companies. We need to invest in drainage and we need to prepare for financial disasters, being more consistent, weatherize our utilities so we're not out of electricity and internet and water for weeks at a time. I'm asking for your vote. I need your vote. This is not about me, it's about all of us. And we have the numbers to do it. We can do it. This district should be a Democratic district with the numbers. Y'all have heard it all before. And I have to mention this: go to the Go Vote app, make sure you're registered. You can see the ballot on there. That's GEAUXvote.com. But we need you, and we need you to help step up and get people out there, because if we flip this district from red to blue, this will be the first district that happened in I think over a decade or even longer. So it'll make statewide news, and it could make national news too. And that could be the spark that we need across this state to say, people need to say, wow, it can be done. And they're going to be coming to us and say, how did y'all do it? And we need to tell them how we did it, because we're going to do it. So thank y'all for having me. It's my pleasure being here with all of y'all. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you, everyone who came out and who's watching on the Carrie Chavis live experience for the cocktails and conversations. Our vote is really important, guys. If it wasn't so important, they wouldn't work so hard to stop us from voting. So remember, we not only have to vote, we have to support our local leaders, and then we have to hold